We'll start with a look at Ghana's banking sector. Ratings agency Agusto and Co has released its maiden report on Ghana's banking sector. I now speak with a senior analyst, Jide Onifade, with Agusto and Co to give us his thoughts on the outlook for that sector that has been recently recapitalized. Jide, it's great to have you in the studios today. And
thank you very much, Wole.
A good place to start really would be your thoughts on where banks are likely to deploy this new capital. Clearly, $60 million in new target set. We've seen the locals comply, we've seen the foreigners comply, and the target I've heard is that $100 million is what new banks that are looking to go into the Ghana market need to raise if they want to get exposure to this market. So your thoughts on where the banks are going to put the money. We've seen in Nigeria, a lot of them put it into a branch expansion, IT. I would like to see more of the same in Ghana.
Well, I think so. I think that banks in Ghana are likely to go into branch expansion and IT, as you rightly mentioned. The fact of the matter is that we can't shy away from the fact that these are businesses. And when you take money from shareholders, you need to justify such money in returns. So in order to raise their earnings and returns, they're going to what? They're going to go into branching, they're going to go into aggressive marketing, and they're going to go into IT expansion. The only thing, though, is that there is also a potential that the regulator may decide that, look, they're going to curtail how fast these expansions do take place. For instance, branching. The regulator can step in order to preempt some of the lapses that have been seen in other markets, because bear in mind that Ghana is not the first to toe this road. So the regulator may be very active in that area. But like I said, we're likely to see more branch expansion, more of IT, and we're also likely to see investments in some non-banking areas like insurance, like asset management.
Right. Yep. Any M&A in the pipeline, in your view? We've seen that in Nigeria as well. Do you think we'll see that in Ghana too?
Well, not in the short term, and the reason is that all of the existing banks have met the minimum capital requirement. Right. So the first focus would be sort of like to settle in and to see what they can do with this new money. I'm not too confident that anybody or any bank is going to want to quickly go into another business combination or anything that's too unsettling for them at the moment. Right. So I think that for now, banks are going to be more eager to see what they can do with their existing capital. Okay,
and let's talk about the Nigerians and the impact that they're having in that space. We've seen quite a few Nigerian banks set up shop in Ghana. And I think an important point to make is that, of course, the Nigerian banks have at least their parent companies have much larger balance sheets than any bank in Ghana right now. Yeah. To what extent do you think that puts them at an advantage to compete in this market? At least as things stand today, even though they're there and they're major players, in fact, some people say that they've redefined the market to a large extent, they're still not one of the top three.
Yes. Well, the way I see it is, I wouldn't say that Nigerian banks in Ghana are at any undue advantage because their parent companies have, large balance sheets. Because bear in mind that the flow of funds to those companies has been restricted. CBN has already said in Nigeria that you can't exactly just take out capital at your own free will anymore.
Right.
Now, all banks are on a level playing field, $60 million. So I think that everybody is on like an equal pedestal. I don't see any undue advantage being that Nigerian banks would have in this space. However, the way to look at it is that in such a short time as well, the Nigerian banks have been very effective. I think if my memory serves me well, UBA was first to that market in, I think, 2007. So the way I see it is they came in with innovation, they came in with IT, and they came in aggressively, and we were sure to see more of that. So I think that, yes, they're not at any undue advantage, but if the practice of the parent banks in Nigeria is anything to go by, the Nigerian banks in Ghana do have a lot of potential.
So the Ghanaian banks need to watch their back?
They do need to watch their back.
Okay, let's talk about risk. When you look at Nigeria, we've seen this central bank stepping with reform, set up AMCON. Non-performing loans have come down significantly, on average maybe about 5% in Nigeria. But if you look at Ghana, smaller market, but much higher NPL levels. Your thoughts on the riskiness of Ghanaian banks?
Well, I think, to be honest, that Ghanaian banks do have a significant asset quality challenge still going on there. You see, one of the things that Nigerian banks have benefited from is the intervention of the CBN and the cap on the 5% cap that was introduced by the CBN for NPLs.
Yeah.
It really gave the banks in Nigeria that drive that they needed to, to attack the non-performing loan problem here. We haven't seen any of that. We haven't seen any regulatory input, so to speak, in the area of NPLs or risk in Ghana. Yes, there's talk of implementation of Basel II, which we think should do well for them. But the fact is, in terms of the regulator actively saying, look, I want to see your NPLs at a certain low level by a certain date, we haven't seen any of that.
Right.
So I think that there's a lot of, how will I put it, there's a lot of asset quality issues in Ghana. We have NPLs still as high as 21%. Right. We have some banks that are doing 40% NPLs as of now. So they're not comparable to Nigeria in any form or shape.
Okay. So all that said, we've seen the Ghana market streaking. The banks have done very well on the stock exchange this year so far. What's your outlook for banks, for investors who are looking to get exposure to that space?
Well, I think that the banking space in Ghana is going to grow extensively. I think that with the capital they have the impetus now to grow revenues essentially. So I think that space is really going to expand. And let's bear in mind that the Ghanaian market is, it's not the same size as the Nigerian market. Nigeria is a $245 billion economy. Ghana on its own is about 40 billion, right? And the entire population there is just about 25 million people. But that said, there's still a lot of opportunity because the way we see it, I'm certain that not more than 500,000 of the Ghanaian population is actually banked. 500,000 people to 1 million. So there's just so much opportunity in there. There's so much ground to cover. There's so much opportunity for growth. And I think that we're likely to see new investors enter that market. We understand that there are new licenses that have been issued. Royal Bank has been given a full license, and we have 2 other banks that have been given provisional licenses. So we are likely to see more people or more banks come into that market to try and benefit from the existing opportunities.
Well, if the stock exchange performance is anything to go by, clearly the investors share your optimism that this should be a good space to invest in. Thank you so much, Jide, for joining us. Jide Onifade from Agusto and Co, sharing thoughts on Ghana's banking sector.